The night sky above Earth was quiet, but far beyond it, something was falling fast. A silver ship, damaged and burning, tore through the clouds and crashed deep into a forest. The ground shook, trees fell, and fire lit up the darkness inside. The wreck. A girl was barely breathing. She was not human. She was Serenia, a highborn alien princess from the planet Xerion, daughter of Emperor Valthar, ruler of half the galaxy. Serenia's head hurt, her skin burned, and she could feel blood on her hands. Her bodyguard unit was dead, the pilot was gone, and her royal armor was cracked. She crawled out of the wreckage, her breathing heavy, her pride even more wounded than her body. "This place stinks," she whispered. Looking at the sky above, primitive world, she pressed a glowing button on her wrist, activating a distress beacon. Her people would come for her soon. Until then, she had to hide. Serenia limped through the trees, her long white hair glowing. Softly in the moonlight, her violet eyes scanned the area. She was used to palaces, not dirt and insects, but she kept moving, trying not to fall nearby. A human named Eli Cross was out on patrol, a former Earth soldier. Eli had left the military after discovering its secrets. Now, he lived alone in the forest, far from the eyes of those who once controlled him. When he saw the fireball fall from the sky, his instincts kicked in, weapons ready. He moved toward the crash site. What he found surprised him. A strange ship, alien symbols, and a girl who didn't belong. She was on the ground unconscious, her body shaking. Eli ran to her and checked her pulse. Still alive, but barely, without thinking, he picked her up in his arms. Her skin was cold, and her heartbeat was weak. "I've got you," he said softly. "Hang on." But the moment she woke up, her eyes snapped open. She pushed against his chest and screamed, "Don't touch me, you filthy human." Eli stepped back, surprised. "You were dying," he said. "I was helping." "I don't need your help," she growled, trying to stand. "You dare touch royal blood." Before Eli could respond, a red light scanned them from above. He looked up. A drone, not human-made. "We've got company," he muttered. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind a tree. "Let go of me," she shouted. "Shut up if you want to live," he hissed. The drone fired, and a tree exploded beside them. Eli didn't wait. He picked her up again and ran through the forest. Dodging lasers, Serenia struggled but was too weak to break free. As they reached his hidden cabin, he kicked the door open and slid inside. He placed her gently on the bed and started working fast, sealing the doors, powering up a shield. Serenia stared at him, her chest rising and falling. "You risked your life," she said quietly. "Why?" Eli glanced at her, then back at the door. "Because you were in trouble," he answered. "That's what humans do sometimes." She didn't know what to say. No one had ever helped her without orders. No one had ever touched her without permission, especially not a lowborn alien. Outside, the drones hovered, scanning, then moved on. Eli turned back to her, offering water. "Drink this." She hesitated, then took it. It tasted strange but clean. "Thank you," she muttered, almost too low to hear. That night, she sat in silence, staring at the fire. Eli worked quietly nearby, watching her from time to time. He had never seen anything like her. Beautiful, proud and angry, and she had never met someone like him. Plain, broken, yet kind. Something had started, but neither of them knew what. Above the clouds, 3 different signals were now tracking her beacon. Her empire, a rival alien force, and Earth's secret agency. They were all coming, but for now in a small wooden cabin. A highborn girl and a human stranger sat together, enemies by birth, but not by choice, and the crash was just the beginning. The rain tapped gently on the roof of the wooden cabin. Inside, Serenia sat near the fire, wrapped in a blanket that didn't belong to royalty. The flames danced, casting shadows across her face. She wasn't used to shadows, only the cold light of palace walls and metal halls. But this place felt real, strange but real. She looked at her hands, bruised, Scratched, not perfect anymore. She remembered Eli's hands, rough and warm, lifting her from the crash, touching her like she was just another being, not a daughter of the emperor, not the heir to the throne, just someone who needed help. She hated that memory, but somehow it kept playing in her mind, not because of the shame, but because no one in her life had ever touched her with kindness before. Eli entered the room, holding a small bowl of soup. "It's not royal food," he said with a smile. "But it'll keep you alive." She looked at the bowl, then at him. "You should not be kind to me," she said. "My people will erase this world when they find me." "Sounds like a great reason to give you soup," Eli replied, placing it beside her. He sat on the opposite side of the fire, tired eyes watching her carefully. "I don't understand you," she whispered. "I get that a lot," Eli said, leaning back against the wall. "Especially from aliens." A long silence followed. Serenia finally picked up the bowl and sipped. It was simple, strange, but comforting. Her people had machines for food. Perfect, tasteless cubes. The soup had mistakes in it, but it felt more alive. "Who are you really?" she asked. "You're not just a forest man." Eli's face changed, the firelight catching the sadness in his eyes. "I was a soldier," he said slowly. "Part of a secret program, something terrible. They trained us to kill first, ask later. So I left. Now I live here, trying not to be that person anymore." Serenia nodded. Even in her empire, she'd heard of Earth's darker secrets. She was surprised this human had run away from power. Power was everything where she came from. Suddenly, a beeping sound echoed through the cabin. Her eyes flashed. She stood up quickly. "My beacon," she said. "Someone's jamming it." "Can you fix it?" Eli asked, moving toward her. She tapped her wrist device, but static filled the screen. "No signal," she said, voice sharp. "This is a trap. Could be your enemies," Eli said. "Or your friends." She looked at him. "They are not my friends if they come with warships," Eli smirked. "Then you're not so different from us after all." Suddenly, loud booms echoed in the distance. Serenia rushed to the window. In the night sky, 3 ships appeared, small, black, and moving fast. Her eyes widened. "That's not my fleet," she said. "That's the Crimson Brotherhood. They want me dead." Eli grabbed his rifle. "Then we better move." "Wait," she said. "Why are you still helping me?" Eli stopped, looked back at her, and said something that made her heart pause. "Because no one helped me when I needed it." She didn't know how to answer. For a moment, the wind howled outside, shaking the windows inside. Something quiet changed between them. Serenia opened a compartment on her suit, pulling out a glowing cube. "I have a teleport key," she said. "I can open a portal, but only once." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Then use it to run." She looked at him again, and for the first time, her voice trembled. "If I leave now, they'll kill you." Eli just smiled. "Better me than a princess," she frowned. "Stop calling me that." "Fine," he said, walking to the door. "Then come on, Serenia." The way he said her name, without fear, without worship, shook her more than any weapon. The door opened, cold air rushed in, and the two stepped out into the dark woods once again, together, hunted by enemies from stars she once ruled. And yet, she was beginning to wonder, maybe this human, this strange creature from a primitive world, was more noble than the kings of her empire. And for the first the night no longer felt like night, it felt like a hunt. And Serenia was the prize. The sky was no longer quiet. Invisible eyes were watching from above, and dangerous feet were moving through the forest below. Some wore alien armor, some wore human boots, but they were all searching for the same thing, her. Eli crouched behind a fallen tree, rifle ready. Serenia stood beside him, her royal pride replaced by alert eyes and clenched fists. She wasn't just running now, she was fighting to survive. 3 heat signatures coming from the west, Eli whispered, checking his tracker. Serenia tapped her wrist device, scanning the area. That's Crescent Tech, she said. Assassins, genetically enhanced, no mercy. Eli gave a tired laugh. Sounds like my old team. She looked at him, confused. What do you mean? I mean, he said, my own people are after me too. In that moment, she realized something shocking. She wasn't the only one being hunted. This wasn't just her war, it was his too. They weren't allies by choice, they were allies by fate. Far away, a second group marched through the trees. Wearing Black Earth uniforms, one of the soldiers, Captain Voss, held a hologram of Serenya's face. She's the key, he said coldly. Alive or dead, the tech inside her is worth 100 cities, another soldier asked. And the man, Voss smiled. Kill him, he's just a broken tool. Back at the cabin ruins, Serenya watched Eli pull open a trapdoor hidden under dirt. What is this? She asked. My backup plan, he said. A tunnel system, built it years ago in case someone came for me. Someone, she asked, raising an eyebrow. Everyone, he replied. Jumping in first, she followed, crawling through metal and dust. Royalty had never crawled before. But tonight, she did. And somehow, it didn't feel like weakness, it felt like survival. They emerged near a cave, deep and dark, hidden by thick vines. Inside, Eli lit a lamp and began setting traps. Serenya sat quietly, finally asking the question that had been burning in her mind. Why are your own people hunting you? Eli paused, then looked at her. I found something, he said slowly. Something I wasn't supposed to. He pulled a small chip from his pocket. It glowed faintly. This holds data from an alien ship your people shot down years ago. My people? She asked, surprised. Yes, he said. And Earth took the wreckage, used the tech to build weapons, and worse. Serenya stared at the chip, her royal education flashing. In her mind, if what he said was true, then her empire wasn't just under attack, it was already losing, and Earth wasn't innocent either. How did you escape with that? She asked. I didn't, he said. I ran. And I've been running ever since. Then why didn't you destroy it? Because the truth matters, he said, even when no one wants it. In that cave, with the fire low and danger all around, Serenya finally understood. She wasn't just a runaway princess. She was now holding the threat of a secret war. One started by kings, kept hidden by governments, and paid for by people like Eli, and somehow, she had to decide who she really was, a daughter of power or a voice of change. Footsteps echoed above, and the two fell silent. Crescent hunters had arrived, and behind them, Earth's shadow soldiers, enemies from the stars and enemies from the soil, both wanted blood. And only two people stood in their way, a runaway human and a highborn alien. Serenya rose slowly, pulling a blaster from her side. Eli loaded his rifle and gave a small nod. No more running, she whispered. No more hiding, he replied. The shadows grew darker, the sounds grew louder, and deep inside that forgotten cave, two rebels prepared to fight enemies on both sides. Serenya had never seen a man cry before, not in her palace, not in her empire, not even in war. Where she came from, pain was hidden behind power. But that night, in a quiet human village lit only by broken lamps, she saw Eli cry. And it changed everything. They had escaped the cave, outnumbered, outgunned, and nearly dead. But somehow, they made it, using old paths and hidden roads Eli had memorized over the years. Now they stood on the edge of a small village tucked between mountains and silence. This place isn't part of the map, Serenya said. It's not supposed to be, Eli replied, wiping sweat from his brow. They hide here like me. The village wasn't filled with soldiers or scientists. There were only old people, women and children, no weapons, no machines. Just soft music, firewood, and tired laughter. Eli walked into a small wooden hut. An old woman gasped when she saw him, her eyes filling with tears. Eli, she whispered, hugging him. You're still alive. Serenya stood outside, watching through the open window. The woman's hands touched Eli's face, his arms. like a mother checking her son. And then, without warning, Eli began to cry. Not loud, not wild, but soft, slow, and real. Serenia turned her eyes away, not out of disgust, but because something inside her heart felt. Shaken later, they sat under the stars, Eli staring up in silence. "You're different here," she said, breaking the quiet. "I remember who I am here," he replied, "not who they tried to turn me into." She didn't speak for a moment, then asked, "Why didn't you tell me you had a home?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because I don't," he said. "Not really, this is just a place that didn't forget me." Serenia looked around. The people in the village shared everything. They gave bread without asking, offered water without names. They smiled at her, even though she was clearly not one of them. She didn't understand it. Her world was full of rules. Who speaks first? Who bows? Who is worthy? But here, no one asked what she was. They just offered kindness. A small girl with tangled hair handed Serenia a flower, not because she knew she was a princess, but just because. Serenia took it with a stiff nod, unsure what to do. The girl giggled and ran off. "That's your first gift," Eli said, watching her. "From someone who doesn't want anything in return." Serenia looked at the tiny flower. Its petals slightly broken. It was imperfect, unbalanced, and strangely beautiful. That night, as the fire burned low, Serenia sat beside Eli and whispered, "Maybe your species isn't as primitive as I thought," he chuckled. "Careful. That almost sounded like a compliment. Don't get used to it," she replied, hiding a small smile. But deep inside, her thoughts were not joking. For the first time, she began to wonder if her empire was truly highborn, or if it had simply forgotten what it meant to feel. In the shadows beyond the village, scanners activated silently. A figure cloaked in black armor watched from the trees. He sent a signal into space. Target located. The peace was not going to last, but in that short, quiet window, Serenia had tasted something powerful, something no royal meal, no throne, no command could offer. She had tasted humanity, and it didn't come with gold or glory. It came with soup. She had always believed that feelings were weaknesses. Now she was about to risk everything because of one. Not duty, not honor, not blood. Just one man. They took him while he was helping a child. Eli had seen the warning light too late. The girl had tripped, and he ran to help. And that's when the black-armored soldiers surrounded him. Before Serenia could react, they vanished into the trees with Eli. Now she stood at the edge of the forest, wind tearing through her hair, alone, heart pounding, and angry in a way she had never felt before. Not because someone had taken her protector, but because someone had taken her friend. Her wrist device blinked, picking up a faint trace. Eli's life signal, weak but alive. She tapped into the signal, tracing it to an old underground base, hidden, human-made, and crawling with soldiers. "This is not my war," she whispered to herself. But the words felt hollow now. This was her war. Because they didn't just take a human, they took the first being who made her feel human. She walked toward the enemy base, slowly at first, then faster, then running. Eyes burning, heart steady, hands glowing with alien tech. At the base, two guards barely saw the blur before they fell. Serenia moved like light and thunder, silent and sudden. She used her blade, her scanner, her fists, not for a crown, not for a planet, but for him, inside. Alarms screamed, red lights flashing. She moved through steel corridors, disabling cameras, dodging blasts. Her mind was focused, sharp like her royal training, but her heart beat wild, free like the humans she once called weak. At the center of the base, Eli was strapped to a metal chair, bruised but alive. When he opened his eyes, he saw a shape of silver light. Serenia, walking through smoke like a storm. "You came," he said, voice cracking. "You didn't think I'd let you die here, did you?" She replied, With one shot, she blew open the lock. He fell forward, and she caught him. This time she touched him first, not with fear, not with disgust, but with care. "I don't understand you," he whispered. "I don't either," she said, lifting him. "But I think I want to." She carried him through the chaos, covering his body with her shield. Every soldier who tried to stop her failed, because she wasn't a princess anymore. She was a force. Outside, the sun was rising. The base behind them exploded, flames licking the sky. Serenia placed Eli on the grass, opened her healing pod, and worked fast. She had never done this herself. Healing was for the lower staff. But today, she knelt, hands glowing, eyes focused only on him. His wounds began to close, breath growing stronger, and when he finally opened his eyes fully, she smiled. Not a royal smile, not a cold one, a real one, small and unsure. "You healed me," he said, confused. She nodded, brushing a bit of blood from his lip. "I touched you," she whispered, "and I didn't regret it." The moment hung in the air, quiet and heavy. Not romantic, not dramatic, just true. Something had changed, not just around them, but inside her. She no longer saw him as a primitive. He was her equal now, maybe more, and in saving him, she realized something she had never learned in her father's empire. To protect someone not because of their rank, but because of their heart. Asterisk. The sky cracked open like glass. A silver gateway appeared above Earth, wide enough to block the stars, and through it came her people. Not in peace, but in power. Serenia watched the arrival from the mountain cliffs, her eyes unreadable. Dozens of royal ships, perfect in formation, hovered in silence. They were beautiful, cold, and full of weapons, just like the world she came from. Inside the command ship, standing tall in black and gold armor, was her father, Emperor Valthar. His voice echoed through her combs, deep and angry. "Serenia Valray of Zirion," he said, "you are ordered to report at once. Your actions have brought shame. Your contact with humans is forbidden. You will return, be cleansed, and silence this world." Serenia did not answer at first. She stared down at Earth, at the forests, the people, and one human resting beside her. Eli was still healing, watching her with quiet concern. "You don't have to go," he said softly. "Yes," she replied. "I do, but not to obey." She walked to the edge, activated her teleport key, and vanished in a beam of blue light. A moment later, she stood aboard her father's warship. Guards surrounded her, but she didn't flinch. She marched straight into the royal chamber, unarmed, unshaken. Valthar's eyes burned with fury. "You kneel before your emperor," he growled. "No," Serenia replied calmly. "I stand for something else now." Gasps filled the room. "No daughter of mine would betray her blood," he said. Serenia looked him in the eyes. "Then maybe I am no longer your daughter." She placed a small cube on the ground. It lit up, showing a recording. Soldiers from Earth experimenting on alien tech, using it to hurt innocents. "But this," she said, "this happened because of your silence, because we looked away." Her father's voice thundered. "Humans are beneath us. You would defend them." "I would defend the truth," she answered, "even if it burns our flags." Silence fell. Then the emperor raised his hand. "Arrest her," he said. But the guards hesitated. Something in her voice, in her fire, had shaken them. "Serenia, step forward. I will not fight you," she said. "But I will not follow you either. If you strike Earth, you strike me." On Earth, Eli stood on a hillside, watching the sky. A line of defense drones surrounded him. If the Empire attacked, he wouldn't run. He would stand with or without her. And then, the ships in the sky began to shift, not to attack, but to turn, back aboard the command ship. One guard dropped his weapon, then another and another. Serenia turned slowly, facing them all. "I am not a tool," she said, voice steady. "Not a symbol. I am a bridge. Between worlds, between blood and choice." Her father's face twisted in rage, but the room no longer listened to him. They were looking at her. In that moment, the empire cracked, not with a scream, but with silence, because sometimes the stars had never looked so heavy. They weren't lights anymore. They were eyes watching, waiting, choosing sides above Earth. The skies shimmered with ships from another world. Below, mountains trembled under the weight of what was coming. And between it all stood Sirenia, not as a princess, not even as a soldier, but as a symbol of something new. She had chosen Earth, not because it was stronger, but because it dared to be different. Her father's command ship hovered in silence. Its weapons still powered. His final words echoed in her ear. If you walk away from this bloodline, you walk into fire. She had looked at him, eyes steady, and said just one thing. Then I'll walk through it. Now she was back on Earth, standing beside Eli. He wore a cracked chest plate, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the horizon. You sure they won't open fire? He asked. I'm not sure of anything, Sirenia replied, except that I'm done hiding. Down below, the humans had gathered. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians. They didn't know whether to run or cheer. But they knew one thing. This alien girl had returned for them. A voice came through the sky, loud and clear. You have one chance to surrender Earth's technology. Refuse, and we will erase this world. It wasn't her father's voice. It was someone worse. General Ralvek, a warlord hungry for the throne. He had taken control of the empire in her absence. Now he was ready to crush both her and Earth in one move. Sirenia tapped her wrist, sending a signal to the sky. From the edge of the fleet, 5 royal cruisers peeled away and moved beside Earth's orbit, each one flown by a loyal captain who still believed in her. This is madness, Eli whispered, watching the ships shift like birds in formation. No, Sirenia said, eyes glowing. This is rebellion. General Ralvek laughed over. The comes, you think a few loyalists can stop a fleet. I don't need to stop a fleet, she replied. I only need to stop you. She launched the override code, a secret built into the royal fleet, known only to the direct bloodline. Alarms lit up across the Empire's ships, systems. Crashing, targeting failing, Ralvek screamed in rage. But it was too late, one by one. The ships powered down, floating like silent giants in the sky. Back on Earth, Eli turned to her, shocked. You shut them all down. She nodded slowly. I broke my crown, she said, so I could build something better, but Ralvek wasn't finished. His command ship opened fire, a direct missile aimed at Earth's surface. Without thinking, Sirenia grabbed Eli and activated the last energy shield in her suit. The missile hit. A thunderous wave of light and heat roared around them. The ground shook, the sky turned red, and then silence. When the smoke cleared, they were still standing, barely. Her shield cracked, her arm bleeding. Ele holding her up. You're insane, he said, smiling through the pain. Maybe, she whispered, but so are humans. Maybe that's why I like you. High above, Ralvek's ship lost power. Falling back through the portal gate, her loyal captain sealed the gate behind him, locking the Empire out. Earth was safe, for now. Later, in the ruins of a human base, a crowd gathered. Sirenia stood before them, her royal suit torn, her crown gone, but her voice carried more weight than any title she had worn. I was raised to rule with control, she said, but I was never taught to care. You showed me what no empire could, that real power is not fear. It's trust. A child walked up to her and handed her a small, bent flower, the same kind as before. She took it with shaking hands. I'm not your queen, she said, looking at the people. But if you'll have me, I'll be your voice. Not above you, she added. Beside you, the people cheered, not because she had saved them, but because she had chosen them. Later that night, she stood with Eli under the stars. Everything felt quiet, peaceful, unknown. You never answered, he said. What are you going to do now? She looked at the sky. I'm going to build something new. No thrones, she added. No empires, just bridges. He nodded. You'll still need someone to watch your back, I was hoping. You'd say that, she replied, smiling. They stood together, side by side. An ex-soldier and an alien girl, not by chance, but by choice. And as the wind carried their shadows across the earth, a new kind of royalty was born, not made by blood,